My privilege.
Hey everybody, we're here with a Link to the Past All Dungeons race between azder and shadyforcegames in the All Dungeons Tournament. I'd like to introduce you to our commentators, Anders and Dow. How are you guys doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Sorry for screaming a minute ago. I got really excited. How are you? How are you doing, Dow?
Doing pretty well. Excited for this match.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. This is part of our All Dungeons Restricted Major Glitches: A Link to the Past tournament. So we're pretty deep into getting this tournament started, so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is the second week of the tournament. So yeah, second week of the tournament.
Second week of brackets, yeah.
And winners round 2 this week, or this weekend rather. All the matches should be done by tomorrow. This one right here is a losers bracket round 1 match. So both of these runners, if they lose this, they're out of the tournament. I don't know if that's going to affect how they play at all, but that is what's going to happen.
I don't know. I just had to say that. Or Dow having to put up with me. We're pretty excited. We're going to be getting started pretty soon. We have R, Ezda, and D Arc Quad. For those of you who aren't sure, we don't your opponent gets to choose your file names, which is always really fun.
Yeah. So we're getting started here, and honestly, to me, the first 10 and a half, 11 minutes of this run are not fun. I guess that comes with the territory of having done it, a couple thousand times or whatever. But really, also, there's just not too much interesting things going on, movement tech-wise or anything like that.
No, this is a pretty bare bones basic introduction, just like most first sets of dungeons are. You learn to walk, you learn to use items, you learn to swing a sword. So, I'm sure for a pro like my good buddy Dow here, it's pretty simple, and even for me, who I've watched this sequence many a time, it is what it is.
The only kind of nice thing about the escape sequence here is that we only have 3 different dungeon songs in the entire game. We have escape dungeon music, light world dungeon music, and dark world dungeon music. So it's at least something different.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite musical piece in this game?
Beats me. I don't know. I just kind of tune it out.
Dang, that's fair. I find that this game is and Zelda games in general have a big emphasis on music, and I think that this one has some particularly good tunes, in my opinion.
Interesting. Azder going for the poke and then slash on that key guard. Shady Force as well. It's actually more consistent than the other strat. It's a bit tougher though.
Shows what I know.
It's harder. It's more consistent. It's faster. It's faster and more consistent. Usually a good idea.
Know offhand the PBs of these two players?
I was just about to check that out.
I'm jumping ahead.
Is an hour, 14 minutes, and 35. I was looking at the wrong category. Azder's is an hour, 14 and 23, at least according to Speedrun.
So they're pretty well within each other. I know that in the first round, azder went up against Josh RTA, who was our number 7 seed, and Shady went up against Louis, who's the number 10 seed, and took an unfortunate death, if I remember correctly, later in the run. Both of these runners are... azder is the 26 and Shady's the 23, so pretty well within each other, very close PBs. Sure, it's going to be a very fun run for us to watch.
Yep. The scariest thing about this run is that so in a normal run of this game, like normal, I guess, call it glitchless or no major glitches run of this game, there's only a few major roadblocks that are going to stop you, and they'll come pretty late in the run. This category has more. A lot. It feels like they're everywhere. And they come early. So
yeah, I would definitely agree with you there. It's I would say possibly a volatile category. There's so much stuff that can happen and so much stuff that can go on, and a lot of it is right at the end.
Yeah, and I would say the big thing here is that even if you don't die or don't have a complete disaster, it's easy to lose 30 seconds on a split just due to a clip or something not going well.
I've seen it in this tournament many a time. I'm on my second comms in a row, and my brain's a little bit fuzzy at the moment. Possibly due to this lazy Saturday, but it is what it is. Both runners making their way through the back of Escape. Naturally, the King of Hyrule decided to put a safety exit in the back behind the throne. Unfortunately, he did not use it, but we will, and that always makes us happy.
Yeah, so just running through the sewers here. Zelda's with us. We're gonna rescue Zelda. The game's over. It's how these games work, right? So,
wait, what?
Maybe we've only got a couple minutes here.
Yeah. This is it's really about a 6-minute speed run. Just save the girl, and you're done. It's a happy day.
Yeah. So as azder exits here, game is in Japanese, so we won't be able to tell. But the priest basically tells us, "Hey, you rescued Zelda."
Can you
but
give us a priest voice?
I don't know that I have one. But he basically tells us that turns out we didn't actually do anything yet. Ganon is still out there terrorizing the universe, and so we actually need to go stop him instead. We don't want to do that. We're scared, so we're going to save and quit.
Link, you must... Nope! Just yeets himself back home. It's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah, so now we're actually headed to the first dungeon of the game, which is Eastern Palace. There is an opportunity here to do a clip that saves about 6 or 7 seconds if done pretty well. I don't know if either of them are going to do it. It looks like azder is not. To be fair, it's not an easy clip. It involves something called a teleport, which requires standing on a specific pixel and then getting a diagonal input, which if you don't get the diagonal input, it doesn't work. So you have to do like a 1 frame. You have to press the diagonal on the same frame. Luckily, we can buffer it, but it makes it pretty annoying, pretty easy to mess it up. So neither runner going for it, and honestly, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect citrus clip saves how much? I mean, absolutely perfect.
But even a really good one is going to save about 6. But an average one probably saves somewhere like 2 to 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Which, especially in a tournament setting, you know, you're not going to care about 2 seconds. Not really. Like, we're going to lose more than 2 seconds just to RNG. Like, you're going to lose 2 seconds just to cannonball RNG in this cannonball room they walk through. So it's not like you're super worried about it.
Absolutely.
The Eastern Palace here, also a little bit boring. We don't have the boots yet, which is the only movement kind of tech we're going to get in this game. But we are going to get the bow, which is a pretty awesome weapon. It's pretty strong. You can do a lot of damage with it. Only problem with the bow is that arrows are kind of a commodity. We're going to grab every arrow pot in the dungeon just to have enough to get through this split and the next, which is pretty tough. It's like 25 for this split and then 7 for the next. We actually have a maximum arrow capacity of 30. So we barely even have enough. We don't have enough in our capacity, I don't think. I can't remember exactly. Nice damage boost from Azder there. That's a big key. Also, he got the RNG where the Popo just like sticks in the wall and you don't have to boom it and you just walk by. But it's always really hard to recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still personally at the spot where I just slash him no matter what.
Yeah, it booming versus slashing is only a couple frame difference. We've seen mostly booms out of them today because slashing is going to kill the Popo, which gives you drops. We don't care about drops because all they drop is rupees. We don't need rupees, so they're going to boom it instead. But the sword hitbox is actually bigger than the boomerang hitbox, so it's a bit easier to slash.
Every day.
Pretty solid Zelda game room from Azder there.
Ooh, oh no! I am low stress.
Yeah, that room is the Igors.
Those red Igors. They are not nice.
Okay, this is bad. Not just because of the small time loss here, but because that's actually going to affect this arrow count going into the next split.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there are some safety arrows in Pod, but you don't really want to rely on, especially not on those mimic drops.
They're also slow. So, like, it feels really bad to get them. Also, Shady's in the same spot where he's going to need extra arrows as well. But yeah, the red Igors, as they're tried to get both of them in one cycle there, it's actually a little bit tight. And you can either fire your first arrow early, or sometimes you fire while there's still an arrow in the air, so you won't actually get a second arrow to come out, and so it just kind of messes you up if that room goes a little bit wrong.
Absolutely.
But now we have the boots, and now it's time to kind of go fast. And also, this is a restricted major glitches tournament. That means we allow some glitches and not others. We allow some pretty powerful glitches, actually. And we're about to see them put into effect right here. The game wants us to go to Desert Palace. Instead, we're going to skip a whole bunch of dungeons, and we're going to go straight into Palace of Darkness. First, we got to get up onto Death Mountain here, which, as there's doing a bunch of little clips here, and we end up in the Death Mountain cave to rescue the old man.
The old man. Most of y'all know how I feel about him already. I don't like him, if that wasn't clear.
Shady with a pretty nice clip there.
Yeah.
Now, we are going to get the mirror here, which is a really powerful tool for us. I suppose we could leave it for later, but it'd just be slower. For one, rescuing the old man gives us a save and quit point here on Death Mountain, which is a very, very powerful save and quit. And two, because we want to do Palace of Darkness ASAP, the mirror's going to speed up that dungeon a lot. And so here, azder actually does a glitch that saves, I think, like 3 seconds, but it's much safer. And here we're going to see kind of the real magic. The underworld maps are all connected. Nice teleport from azder there. It's real good. And so you can just kind of enter this cave that's on Death Mountain, and it turns out it's right next to Pod. So we're just going to work our way or teleport into Pod here. See how Shady's goes.
Always is one of the first stress points for me.
Yeah, that clip is actually pretty tough because you have to, first of all, bomb yourself into the wall, which doesn't always work the way you want it to, because we saw that mini Molder on Shady's side. Yeah, awful close to him. Yeah, sometimes they just hit you and screw you up. But then 2, it requires a 1-frame buffer after the fact, or 1-frame movement after that. So you have to press up for exactly 1 frame before you can start to teleport. It's a 60 FPS game, so, you know, not very easy.
Yeah, that would make it a little bit tougher than we are used to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we see azder getting these backup arrows.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Yeah.
He actually didn't have enough arrows to get through the dungeon. I imagine Shady will probably get those arrows too. There is another set of backup arrows, which they could both have gotten, but it's a pretty tough strat, and it doesn't save that much time compared to getting these. Oh, Shady might be going for it. Or maybe just picking up the arrows in Mimic's room later.
Hopefully, that's what it is. There's nothing wrong, or there's nothing worse than when you're watching one of these and you're like, oh, obviously they're doing this, and they're like, no, I just freaking forgot.
Yeah, that would be bad. I mean, there's a lot to think about in this split. First of all, you have the Death Mountain split, and then we have this hammer jump that azder's coming up on.
I definitely think this is one of the hardest splits. And I know I've said this before, I say it almost every time I run, or I commentate, that this is such a difficult split to do. But it's because it is. And very genuine.
That was a pretty solid hammer jump from azder. A few extra buffers, not the end of the world. It still saves a ton of time. It's still absolutely worth it. Shady's looked good on the first try. He didn't trust himself. I guess it's just one of those things where maybe you are nervous or something. But yeah, pretty good hammer jumps from both of them. azder wasting an arrow, that may or may not come on him. I don't know. Probably not.
That's not, but we'll see.
Yeah, and that's the danger of Shady Strike here. azder's going to use 4 arrows in this room here. Gonna grab some backups. Nice. So Shady is only going to have 3 here. I don't know if he's going to use the backup strat, which kind of uses 3 before picking them up, or not. No, he's going for the kind of regular strat here. So yeah, he just has to pick up the pod. Which slows you down a little bit.
Okay, boomer action on azder's side.
Yeah, it's a pretty good strat. That room's not fun. Just like this turtle room, not fun. For exactly that reason, if they get lined up in a little bit, you like have to unflip them, and like they don't behave, so it's tough. And now we're coming up on Helma, which is definitely the scariest part of this whole split. As if the rest of it wasn't hard enough.
I really feel.
As they're holding the sword out to extend the hammer hitbox because it is deceptively small. It is tiny. Also using hammer dashes here. So I saw a hammer dash. And not going for hammer dashes.
Gosh, I am not breathing. Oh, thank goodness.
Whew, okay, it's actually This fight is real scary once he starts doing fireballs. Nice fight from Shady. Made up a lot of time.
Absolutely.
A great helmet fight versus a rough helmet fight is like surprisingly odd amount of time, and you don't even think about it until you're really trying to push your times down, just because mostly you're worried about getting out alive, which, as we can tell on Azder's side, not always easy. Like, helmet fight back.
Honestly, I don't think that the run really starts until after Homo. Just because of how difficult and easy it is to die in that fight.
Yeah. You may have noticed, but every single thing that Helmet does there does 2 hearts of damage. When you start spitting fireballs and swinging his tail at the same time, plus moving around super fast, there are very few safe places to stand. So, great job getting out of that fight.
Now both runners going to head to the Tower of Hera via save and quit, and a fun little clip that we're going to see many a time in this run.
Yeah, this clip's a little bit different. This one, like the previous one, which we didn't mention, wraps you around the top. Shady going for spin speed clip there, wraps you around the top of the mountain, but you end up in a different spot. So you actually end up next to Tower of Hera as opposed to next to like the caves. Or the Ether Tablet, rather. As they're just opting to mirror out of that room with the mini Helmas, or with the, not mini Helmas, mini Moldorms, because that mini Moldorm likes to play goalie on the key. Shady opting to boom. Booming's faster by, I think 30 frames or something.
Just about. Is azder gonna go ahead and do our favorite pot speed?
I don't think so. I didn't see him get it. Is he?
Oh no. That movement made me think he was going to, hence my sounding like a seal for a moment.
I didn't see if he got spin speed to begin with. If he didn't get spin speed, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I thought he had, but I haven't. Maybe he missed it. I thought he tried for it at least.
No, I just didn't see. Shady opting to keep the boom here. Honestly, one of the reasons why it saves time is because in this room right here, Shady's going to boom to switch. That's really the biggest time save that it gives you. It's just not having the menu. But now we have the big key. We're going to head up to the top of the tower here. Nice improv from Azder there. Got a little bit stuck on the switch, and then was being charged by the beetle. Normally you'd grab the right one first, but he didn't have time. Same with Shady there. That room's pretty tough. Actually one of the harder rooms in. Now we're grabbing the Moon Pearl. This will let us into Dark World. Basically, we were able to do... Oh, no.
It's unfortunate. Don't like to see that.
That's pretty rough. That's like a... I forget exactly how much. Like 40 or 50 seconds time loss to fall down 2 holes like that. Moldorm here can push you into this middle hole, which is a similar time loss. But generally, okay, the fight's a little bit easier with Hammer. Still not easy, as Moldorm can be a jerk, but overall a little bit safer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, these bomb jumps
through very well. Those bomb jumps are finicky.
You have to stand pretty close to the pit to make them work. And if you're not careful, and sometimes even when you are careful, you can just fall. So Shady's on 1 heart here. Didn't hit the switch, so not only can Moldorm push you into the pit, he can just kill you when you're this low. One thing about this category, if you because we save and quit a bunch, we actually are very rarely on full health, or at least much less frequently than in regular categories. Nice fight from Shady.
But that always stresses me out a ton. I'm very much the kind of game player who's like, give me my health, let me live my life, you know?
Yeah,
So-
honestly, that's one of the
I like my
reasons also
safety.
why this is scary, this category.
So now with azder entering Thieves Town, I usually like to do a little A Link to the Past trivia, if you don't mind. There,
Go for it.
Dow. So this is actually just general Legend of Zelda trivia. So a lot of people know that in the first few Final Fantasy games, there was a headstone in one of the towns of the elves that read, "Here lies Link" in one translation. Obviously a little play on the fact that Nintendo and Sony and all that stuff, well, Nintendo and Square had worked together. But Legend of Zelda was referenced also in one other Final Fantasy game very directly. Can you name it? You have until the boss of Thieves Town is defeated.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah, everyone keeps telling me that my things are too easy, so try this, friends.
But yeah, Thieves is nice because it's pretty straightforward for the most part. You just get to kind of take these nice straight lines, dashing. So none of the movement in here is particularly difficult. However, all the enemies do 2 hearts of damage.
These Zazics and those grasshoppers, they can be really frustrating. But looks like we might be getting through it pretty scot-free on azder's side for that ceiling there. That attic is the word that I'm looking for.
Wow, okay. That's pretty rough RNG on Shady's side. Even
Yeah.
if he had gotten the pixel that just lets you go through, he would have gotten blocked anyway. Sometimes the game's just like that. No matter what you do, you get out.
Cruel mistress, some would say. And Dow has nothing to say to that because it was freaking weird of me to say.
Okay, yeah, this what do you want to call it? Prison, where we're rescuing the maiden here on azder's side. He dashed and then kind of bailed out of a dash. Fighter Sword does not kill these enemies in one hit, which the Master Sword does. That room is tough and you're a little bit worried about it, no matter what you do. Just because taking a hit there is usually going to cost you at least 2 hearts, sometimes more, depending on how bad it goes. But pretty good room from Shady there. We're going to walk around. You can't pick up that block that's in our way.
Normally we would be able to.
Yeah, we don't have any lift upgrades yet, so we have to go around. Which is pretty convenient that we can actually do that.
Yeah, it was like the developers were like, oh, I bet someone's going to try and play an all dungeons restricted major glitches part of this and just put it in a different area, right? So let's do that.
So yeah, as everybody loves to point out, Blind Fight is scripted. Azder does exactly what you're supposed to do, takes down Blind with no issue.
That we have come to the end of our trivia portion of the evening, which means that I actually have to tell you the answer. And the actual answer is that Legend of Zelda was referenced in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance, where a quest requires you to help get with the Master Sword. So that's the one, everyone's favorite. Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced.
Shady also with a nice Blind Fight. So here, Azer's picking up. This is going to be our first kind of collectathon that we do. In this segment, we're going to grab 600 rupees, the book, and the Tempered Sword. Tempered Sword is super nice because it does a ton of damage. Also has a longer reach than our current sword, so it's just overall much more powerful. I'm going to mirror the light world and grab the book. Not going to use this to get into desert, like we would normally do. We have ways around that. Instead, we're going to use it to read the ether tablet and get the ether tablet. Honestly, getting the Tempered Sword actually takes quite a while. It's like over a minute.
It does.
For right around a minute to get the Tempered
But at
Sword.
least, so we do 2 major shopping trips. In this, obviously this is one of them. And I just feel like this is the one that like we actually get the most out of, because you barely use the flippers, you barely use the ether tablet, you barely use the Book of Medora, but that sword carries you to the end.
Yeah, that's exactly true. This one doesn't feel like a shopping trip because you're like, oh, we're just gonna get really strong. But the other one definitely feels like, oh, we gotta go out and grab this stuff just because. But yeah, now we're stocked up on rupees and we're stocked up on weapons, so we're pretty good for the rest of the game, aside from a couple of things that we need to grab, just incidentals. And we're gonna head into Skullwoods here. Skullwoods is one of the dungeons that doesn't seem too hard, especially if you're watching pretty good runners like these guys here. It's not easy. It's like we have ways around these rooms that are pretty safe. If you try to improv these rooms at all, you're probably going to get owned. Great mummy statue there, especially since mummies in this game do whatever they want. So yeah, we just kind of deal with it. I guess is the best way to put it. Now we have specific ways we dash here on this overworld section to not get destroyed by these Ropas, which also do 2 hearts of damage. And then we're going to do a bomb jump here, take some intentional damage, and then fall into the pit and also take some intentional damage. So even if like things go well, we're taking some intentional damage. And this damage is so we can walk right through this enemy. We get iframes, which is really nice. But the toughest part of this dungeon is definitely the boss. I know Anders definitely loves this boss. And yeah, this boss does 2 hearts of damage with every attack. Attack patterns are pretty annoying. But what's more annoying are the spikes moving around and the conveyor pushing you underneath you. It's tough.
I
to kind of
may have had a mental breakdown my first time playing against Mothula.
Yeah, we can see Azer's movement there in that mummy torches room. That baits the mummies to not hit you at all, so it's pretty safe. But yeah, big difference. Oh, Shady with another bomb jump. This does kind of affect Shady's bomb count pretty significantly.
The bomb count, just like the arrow count that you mentioned earlier, is the route is very specific here. So we need to keep what we have.
Yeah, and Azder has a pretty good moth fight there. Stays aggressive on moth, doesn't let the room get out of control. But not so aggressive that he just keeps smashing moth into the spikes, which which makes him not take damage. So, pretty solid fight. Ooh, okay, Shady down to 3 hearts here. Yeah, this is one of those dungeons, like I mentioned. It's tougher than it looks, and all you do is mess up a little bit there. Shady, stopped his dash probably like 1 or 2 frames too late and bonked into the wall. He is going to try to handle the back here on only 3 hearts. It's definitely a good enough player to do it. But we will see what happens. Gonna try to start this off with a double hit on Moth. Okay, using the fire rod to get Moth away from the spikes. Pretty smart. Didn't get a double hit on the first one.
Honestly, that was something I'd be happy about.
I mean, it's probably not a fight he's upset with either. Especially going in with 3 hearts in a tournament setting. Which you don't want to have happen is die.
I've seen in this tournament.
Yeah,
you name it.
So yeah, we kind of mentioned that we had a shopping trip in the last one. We have a shopping trip here, as they're just grabbed the Ether Medallion. It's getting blocked by all the dead rocks on Death Mountain.
Love it.
Because this is restricted major glitches. Maybe he can clip into the wall here. It's a little precise. Okay, maybe he'll just let him through. Awesome. Yeah. Dead rocks. I don't know what person thought they were a good idea. We're going to grab the flippers here. So either medallion and flippers in this segment. One reason why we do this is because we need both of those pretty soon, so we might as well get them. But also, we're going to head to Desert next. Desert needs precisely neither of these things. It also does not need much health. So because we're saving and quitting here, and we're optimally not going to save and quit again until after Ice Palace, saving and quitting in Desert is going to make health the most manageable. It's going to be the most manageable health situation here.
Yeah, and I mentioned this a little bit in the last run, but for those of you just tuning in, the Desert split is such a decision, because the actual overworld following Mothula is probably the most difficult overworld in the game. However, Desert itself is kind of a joke. Would you agree?
Well, it's the most difficult overworld in that it's easy to lose the most time, but there are some other overworlds that I think we're going to pay more attention to. Like,
and I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, because Ice Palace makes me want to cry.
Yeah, Ice Palace is pretty rough. So yeah, Azder, I think his bomb count is also a little bit low here. So he just walks around. There's a bomb flip there. But this situation we have on both our runner bomb counts, it's not great. So we do kind of want to preserve them a little bit. And I don't know what Shady's going to do. I don't know if he's practiced the walk around strat or not. That would probably be best just because of his bomb count. But that screen where he walked around is one of the most dangerous screens in the run. Actually, sometimes the enemies just decide you're going to die. And there's not really too much you can do about it. So he also might just opt to do whatever he finds, most consistent for him. Yeah, it looks like we are just going to walk around here.
Makes sense to me.
So, Desert's an interesting split because we don't actually need anything in Desert. We already have a better lift upgrade, so why downgrade? Game will downgrade you if you pick up the gloves here. Which is not
just kidding.
end of
This
the
is
world.
not random.
Yeah, no. It's not the end of the world to have them downgraded, I don't think. I don't know that we lift up any big blocks.
If you mess up, is it an issue?
Yeah,
Or if you
mess
take
up,
Ice Palace as intended.
but I don't think we technically need them. So yeah, we're just going straight to the back, straight to fight the boss here. We're pretty overpowered for this boss. It's going to take 2 fire rods or 1 spin and a fire rod to defeat each of the 3 landmos. Currently, azder has 5 fire rod shots left, and we can start off the fight with a spin since they always start in the same spot. Assuming, of course, that the boss cooperates, which is not guaranteed. As we see on azder's side, the boss immediately just goes off to the other side. But because we're pretty strong, it's easy to clean up the fight. Still really frustrating when that happens because it's just totally out of your control.
Absolutely.
So right now, azder has a pretty solid lead on Shady. But the thing is, we're coming up. I know we've seen a few glitches so far, a few pretty powerful glitches so far. Basically, from here until the end of the run, almost every split has a pretty tough trick in it. So depending on how those go, it could make up or lose a lot of time for either of these runners. This one in Mire, we're going to actually end up in Swamp Palace. Yeah, and we're grabbing the hook shot. Mostly because the Swamp Palace big key is way out of the way. We're going to speed that up by just using the Mire big key as the Swamp big key. Nice Mire too from azder there. And get the hook shot early, which saves a good chunk of time. Nice 1 cycle from Shady there. That one was pretty tough since the lambos, well, at least the 3rd one, didn't really go in a way that was very nice. So Mire here looks pretty normal for a bit. We did get an extra key. We need that key to get into Swamp. There's a locked door in our way. Okay. Well, we're alive. Which is... okay. Yeah, Bomb Slugs do 4 hearts of damage. Which is a little bit frightening here. The good news is we're going to see a fairy refill, so we'll be able to get that health back, but it's definitely a moment where, you know, you're worried.
Yeah, I would say so.
So now we're grabbing the Mire big key. We're going to come back around to the torches. That torch room is actually super close to where we want to be, which I know I mentioned Swamp. We actually want to get to Harrow first. Yeah, it would make more sense if we had a map, but we're going fast. We don't buy maps. We don't get maps.
You don't get those stinking maps.
Not at all. Gonna get the full magic refill here too. The reason why we get it on a second time through is because it actually despawns. You're only allowed to take it once.
Yeah.
Do a nice little bomb clip here, which we haven't seen too much of. And then we're in this nice fairy room, so that's where we're gonna get our health back. Fall down into Hera here, and this room in Hera is actually connected to Swamp. So if we can get set up on a specific pixel here, and then do a specific setup, Okay, so yeah. This is a pretty frustrating clip because you have to dash into it, but it's sub-pixel dependent. So you have to actually move before the dash to make it work. And then, yeah, so you don't have much time to do that movement. But then, honestly, great correction from azder, or great, second step from azder. Once you're into the wall, you have to do 2 one-frame buffers, or potentially 3, depending on what sub-pixel you get. And you got him right away.
Now we're gonna head back into Too Mire, Too Furious.
Yeah, this is a little bit tougher because you don't have sword beams, unless you opt to do some strats, which are a little bit crazy. But you do get health a lot of times going in the room, so you can kind of finish it up with sword beams. Yeah, we can see on Shady's side, I think he got a 2-frame buffer, tried to correct. It didn't quite work out for him. Uh-oh. Luckily, there is a bomb there, so we can grab it.
Still, a bomb count of minimum 3 is 2 in this case is not going to be fun.
Okay, we get through it on Shady's side. You can do it. You can. Well, we need 4 minimum leaving swamp, but really you want 5. So there's only 2 bombs kind of in our way. We'll see if Shady opts for the bomb chest, which is a little bit slow, but definitely worth it if you need 3 bombs. There, azder threw that block into the void. It's not a mistake. This actually sets up our spooky variable here, which we're going to use to hit switches from, a whole room away. Yeah, so we're going to do a little timing setup here. And then do an item dash. And then, yeah, awesome. It hits the switch that is actually just a whole room above you. It's pretty funny. And that was like as good as it gets on azder's side.
Ooh, almost fell on Shady's side. Gets me nervous every time.
Really good fight from azder there. That fight looks scary. It's not too bad. Once you know what you're doing, he intentionally damage tanked quite a few hits there so that he could just kind of not take hits from the eyes, which do 4 hearts of damage, and instead just take hits from the goop on the ground there, which does 1. And that lets you just wait in there and smack all the eyeballs around with a few spins. Should be also going for the setup here. I'm really hoping he does not mess it up because of his bomb situation. If you do on accident mess it up, you have to bomb open a wall in the room above, or in the room that you're in. We don't want to do that because the bomb route's already pretty tight. So here's hoping Shady gets it first.
My fingers crossed.
There's Shady opting not use a timing setup, just kind of look at it, see what's going on. Totally valid. Timing setup just, if you can do it the same way every time, it works the same way every time, as opposed to relying on looking at it. Good clip there from azder to get into swamp. Did a bit of a safer one, which is like, I guess 2 seconds slower than the optimal one, assuming you get the optimal one first try, which is pretty tough. So taking the safe one is definitely great, especially in a race setting. Good fight from Shady there. Yeah, we see azder gets the bomb chest, 3 bombs there. There's 2 more bombs in swamp, but given his bomb count, shouldn't need any more. Will need at least one arrow back, though. Now, Swamp is going to be a pretty quick dungeon here. We already have the big key. We already have the hook shot. There's not really much left for us to get. Got to get a couple of small keys because there's some doors in our way. But yeah, we're basically just going to go straight to the boss.
That'll make our lives a lot easier. I don't know why I said a lot much. English can be hard. So.
Look, the tournament pressure gets to us all, you know.
Oh yeah, especially me right here, right now.
Calming all day. All tournament.
To all those interested in calming who have maybe even mentioned that they're interested in calming already, you know, let me know. Hop on in here.
So azder did a pretty new trick there. I don't know. It's got like 19 different names, and I feel like I forgot all of them. But it requires a couple of, you know, diagonal inputs. Nice. Shady remembering to get the bombs there. And so azder had a little bit of trouble, but, you know, got it like second, third try. It's not too bad at all. Still saving time with that. Heading into the boss here. This boss is... Okay, we're opting for the safe strat, which is good. Can't get a zero cycle, but you know, well, sometimes you can't get a zero cycle with the fast strat anyway. So, absolutely nothing wrong with this.
Still makes it through beautifully, so that's what we like to see. And then we're going to head to our next scary part of the run, the Ice Palace Mirror Wrap, probably. That makes me want to cry every time I see it.
Yeah, we have a couple of places that you can either soft lock, in which you have to save and quit, or hard lock, in which case you have to hard reset. And we don't really want to see either of those, because they're both really slow. But we especially don't want to see any hard locks, because that means you have to redo Desert, Mire, and Swamp, which is not fun.
Yeah, it's not quite ideal.
Shady with a pretty solid clip there to get in the wall. Second try, not bad. And recognized that he failed the first try pretty quickly, so getting right back into it. Oh yeah, this wrap that azder's gonna do, it saves like 8 seconds. So we try to line up on a specific spot there so we can be 1 pixel away from the transition. And we're gonna mirror and move into the transition on the same frame, just like that. And we get this weird transition. And then, yeah, there's Ice Palace. The way it increments kind of the transitions is strange. But it keeps us in Dark World, so we avoid having to like go to Light World and back to Dark World, which is really why it saves time. Going for an instant clip setup there to get into here. Bomb before. We're gonna look like we bomb open the floor, but that's not what we're doing. We're actually trying to hit the switch. Okay, just like that. So we can get through. And here, we're gonna do another glitch found at a pretty much the same time. This one's called Icebreaker. That was really good.
Break ice.
Breaking ice.
Speaking of breaking the ice, my DMs are open. Just had to toss that in there. You know how I am.
We're expecting this run to take about another 20 to 25 minutes, assuming no major mistakes on either player's side. Of which there's, you know, there's still some rough stuff. A lot can happen. azder here is coming up on Cold Stare, Normally a pretty scary boss. In this, we have so much more health than we normally have that it's not too bad. We see Shady's going to take the safe path here. Especially in a race setting, you know, no risk of hard logging or soft logging. Definitely worth it to avoid that, especially when he's already had a couple of issues with the bomb jumps. Maybe he just doesn't want to add any extra pressure or anything like that. I don't know if this is his normal strat or not.
Not quite sure, but again, you know, why do we have those gloves if we're not going to use them?
I mean, we used them to get the Tempered Sword.
Yeah, but past that.
Pretty solid fight from azder there. One puff did hit him, which is like in any percent or in an NMG category. You come into this fight maybe with only 5-6 hearts, and then all of a sudden beeping, and your nerves get to you. Here, he came into the fight with 9, even taking 4 hearts, not too bad. Okay, nice on Shady's part. We're like manipulating the door state there, so it's a little bit funky. Not always obvious that you got it, but great second try. Now we do have one last thing to grab before we can finish the run, and that's going to be the ice rod. This is as close as we're ever going to get, so we're grabbing it right. I guess technically you could wrap around to this from desert, but it's kind of a pain, I think. I think you can? I can't remember. Yeah, with that 3 bomb pack, Azer's bomb count looking pretty good here. Just gonna opt. Oh, okay. Gonna opt for safe strat. There are no safe strats on this screen. Okay.
It's safe.
I'm not quite sure why Shady went that way. I'll have to ask him about it. Probably just a mistake, because didn't grab any of the berries. We're going to see our last Hera clip here, and now we're headed to Circle Rock. We never got the Quake Medallion, so we're actually going to enter from not the main entrance. I don't like Shady posting that lol in chat.
No, I don't really either. Oh lordy.
Okay.
Oh, we made it. Oh gosh.
Okay. So the fight's less scary, but Cold Stare still does 4 hearts. And you still have to deal with the constant ice. Yeah, that's a fight too that you almost have to practice. Like when you mess it up, you have to practice how to fix it because it's not easy. You have so many things to pay attention to. So great job from Shady staying alive. And we actually missed azder doing a mirror wrap into Turtle Rock. Takes us into the back entrance. I would say that's probably the real last dangerous spot of the run where you might screw up pretty badly. I suppose we have one more opportunity with that going into Ganon's Tower, but overall, yeah, I think we're past all of the really scary stuff.
I like to think so.
So what we're going to do here, since we don't need anything out of Turtle Rock, dungeon item is a mirror shield. I had to actually think about what the dungeon item was here, because we just don't get it in general.
No, same. Never think about it too much.
Nice new tech from azder there to press A when you get bunnied, and it saves frames. Link will actually walk during the unbunny animation. which is really neat.
Blows my
Found
mind.
out literally like 3 days ago to True Blue in the chat right there.
Heck yeah, True Blue, thanks a lot.
Now we're getting ready to fight Cold Stare here. Cold Stare. Trinex. Everybody's favorite three-headed boss.
I think the only three-headed boss I can think of.
This fight, not too bad if you do it fast. You keep the heads under control. You're gonna see hopefully a nice double spin here into 1 slash to end the fight. There's the double spin, nice slash. Good fight from Azder. Nice. Laser's gift from Shady. If you stop on the right pixel there, you can actually just walk left. Okay, and it'll get you, right, you'll skip the laser and you'll be able to just hold left right up over to the chest. So great job there, stopping on the right pixel. Taking a little bit of an awkward path through the maze here. But he knows it better than I do. And the advantage there is he didn't get hit. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, and going through Turtle Rock backwards is actually pretty awkward. A lot of the rooms, they're not really harder, but they're different. And so it's just weird. We saw Shady, you know, miss a couple of slashes. Everybody's done that. It's your brain doesn't process it from doing that room from the top down, or at least mine doesn't.
Oh, absolutely not.
Now here we're gonna do one last clip to get into Ganon's Tower. And there we are. We're in Ganon's Tower.
Skip that annoying spinny crystal cutscene thing. You know, that was a technical term, wasn't it, Tao?
Very good, yeah. And in Ganon's Tower, we have our choice of 3 keys that we want to take. Azder here opting for the very first one, which is, I think, the second fastest, or the middle of the 3. It's definitely the easiest. So, you know, take what you can get in this dungeon, which is probably the hardest dungeon in the game.
It's not exactly fun.
I think it's very fun, actually. It's just hard.
Yeah, but you're good at this game, and then there's me. Like, for me, this is very hard, and it makes me sad, okay?
Yeah, agreed. Like, honestly, the difference in time between, like, a really good player and kind of just your normal good player is pretty significant in this split. It's like a minute. And then it's like another minute or 2 between like a good player and just an average player. It's dungeon has a lot going on, a lot that you got to pay attention to, a lot of RNG you need to react to. Luckily, not so much right here in the first basements, in the basement down here where Azder is, when we're going to grab the big key. Very little RNG, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It's still pretty tough rooms overall.
Absolutely.
So we're fighting Ice Armos here. Just like the first Armos fight, we need to fire 3 arrows in each of them, and a better Ice Armos fight than regular Armos fight, which is always good, because the Ice Armos fight actually will affect our Ganon fight later in the run. It's one of the most important things to be consistent at in the whole run. as they're opting for the normal strat in that room, it's the fastest strat, which is why we do it normally. It costs 3 hearts. So that's going to give us, well, he got a heart drop, but normally it'd be 5 hearts to finish out this dungeon. And, you know, I mentioned that things in this dungeon, or in previous dungeons, were a little bit scary. That's pretty much true for this as well. We have basically every enemy type in the game is going to show up in the rest of the dungeon here. A good chunk of them are going to do 2 hearts of damage. Some of them not so much, but with only 4 hearts, we don't have much to work with here.
This gauntlet, always very stressful.
Yeah, hard to do those first 2 rooms. Much better than azder just did, though.
Absolutely.
This third one is... okay. Alright, we're fine. Third one is probably one of the scariest ones. And this 5th one here... okay. So, azder actually got BMOS during iframes. He could die right here, although I'm not expecting it to land those. 2, we have to contend with this shooter, and we also have to contend with the flying rocks from the landmine. But when it's down to just 2 like that, or just 1 like that, it's pretty easy. Or much more manageable, I should say. Not necessarily easy. Opting to grab the heart here. Hopefully we'll see a heart drop in Wizrobes as well. Because when you save and quit, it resets the prize pack. We didn't mention that. There's a chance that all 3 of these Wizrobes drop hearts.
Nice.
If the bottom one does, then you can grab it. If the others do, then it doesn't matter. All of those Wizrobes also had a chance to drop hearts. We didn't get anything. Yeah, excellent. And we made it past the bridge without getting frame rolled. So we're alive. Shady's on full health here because he opted to get a health refill before starting the dungeon. As we can see from azder's situation, where it's a little bit scary health-wise, honestly a good strat. It takes like 5 seconds and refills all your health. Now Shady skipped the first key, so I'm curious which of the other 2 he's gonna get.
Yes, the Helmasaur key, mini Helma.
Maybe. I don't know if Shady which key he normally goes for in like regular enemy turns. Possible that one of the reasons why he took the health refill was so that he didn't have to change anything about his GT, which is completely valid. It's a pretty tough dungeon, and like doing things differently from the way you're used to makes it even harder. Now, azder is fighting Ganon for the first time, but really the second time. And so we have to fight him and his 2 clones. Only the real one takes any damage, and only when it is hit by these energy balls here. So our goal is to reflect these energy balls back. And sometimes you get really awkward patterns like that last one, and there's not too much you can do. This pattern, I think it's only 1 hit left. Yes, okay. So that's a pretty solid pattern with only 1 hit left. The good news here is that if he does happen to die in Aghanim's tower, he won't lose much time. Of course, the bad news is that he could die in Aghanim's tower, which is not something we normally see, because normally we, have 7 health. Tower's not too hard to beat. It's a little bit hard to do fast. But with 1 heart here, it's pretty easy to get bad RNG and die. So we really don't want to see that.
We generally don't want to ever see that.
No, agreed. But yeah, just something like that with those ball and chain guards there. Or like those sword guards. He does get the heart, which is great. They can drop a heart and then a fairy. It's too bad we didn't get the fairy because then we would have been in great shape. For exactly that reason. Uh-oh, Shady is out of magic.
Gotta reset the room.
You can just wait for the torches to go out. But yeah, it's resetting it's pretty reasonable there.
This room is devilish to me.
Yeah, it's also one of the harder rooms in GT, which is surprising, or at least hard to do fast.
Easy sometimes, and it's very much not.
Okay, but we did get out of it. Didn't have to redo all of GT. Excellent. So yeah, this health situation for Azder is exactly what you don't want. But it's what comes with the territory of not healing before GT as well. Is that even when it goes well and you get through GT, you still gotta get through Aga Tower. Okay. You have the bridge still. Hopefully he doesn't get poked. You can get poked and fall off on the bridge, which has happened to me on numerous occasions. Okay, and he just slashes the guard. He says, "We're not dealing with it." Okay, great job from Azder there. And now we're fighting Aghanim, but for the first time, I guess.
The first time.
Second time, the first time. Yeah, something like that. So all the same rules apply. You have to reflect energy balls back into the boss. Except it's only one of them, so it's way easier. Unfortunately, since he doesn't have to give you an energy ball, sometimes he just makes you cry.
Yeah.
So anytime
you
you
get
don't
up to
get an
15 blue balls, but we're not gonna see that probably.
Yeah, the 1 in 32,000 is pretty unlikely.
If we do, however, M. Kostler does have to pay me or buy me dinner.
Fortunately, we're already past that point, so...
Darn it! You got me all excited. I was gonna have a fun little food experience. You know I like food.
But every time you don't get an energy ball, you lose 6 seconds through no fault of your own. Really fun stuff. And Azder only got one, which is pretty darn good. And we see Shady, who absolutely doesn't need the health, get the fairy drop. Because he absolutely does not need the health, he just skips it.
Yeah, no use in getting beams when you don't need them.
Now this health and magic situation might seem really bad for the Ganon fight, but luckily for us, we actually get fully healed and fully restore our magic for having beaten Aghanim. Awesome. So this Ganon situation is actually as good as it gets.
Very nice.
So 12 hits on each of these first 2 phases, 4 hits in the 3rd phase, and then 12 spins to close out the fight. That's all we're going to need here, as there's already up to 7 hits, there's 9, and there's 12 for the first segment. Now normally, we might opt to use the hook shot to not get hit by these bats, which do 4 hearts of damage. Okay. So you can tank some hits in the fight, but you can't tank 4. So we're just gonna have to see it again. Luckily, the first couple of phases here are pretty quick. Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's just categories.
Volatile.
Yeah.
It's not what anybody wants to see.
And normally we would use the hookshot in this fight, but it actually saves a menu to not use the hookshot. So you kind of get put in situations where you might not be used to. Also, Shady with the hook speed in Aga Tower. If you're going to equip the hookshot, you have to do the hook speed. It's the
Very
rules.
much right there.
Nice torch glitch from azder. That one's always pretty... a little bit scary. Ganon warps to the far right. You don't have much time to get that. If you get torch glitch, it keeps the right torch lit forever. So all you have to do is light the left one. You can get 3 spins per cycle here, and it's going to take 12 spins total to finish out this fight. Players experience this azder. Probably not going to mess up too much in this phase. Maybe might miss a spin here or there, but these patterns are not very good.
No, they're not.
So some of the worst.
Well, it looks like we have a blowing pig. God.
GG's to azder.
GG's to azder. Put that in chat.
Nice run.
See if we can get azder into chat or into the voice call for a post-match interview while we watch Shady jump down and start Zaga fight.
Ganon. Yeah.
Ganon. Gosh, sorry, that threw me hard.
Did Shady get 0 blue balls? I didn't see. It's a gold split by 12 seconds, so I wouldn't be surprised. Shady with
like
downward facing Ganon here. That's actually technically optimal. It saves like 2 frames or something. But the bat pattern is a bit stranger. Well, the bats are the same, but they feel different.
Heading into phase 3 already. Now with this, azder is going to be going up against Kaznode in Loser's Bracket round number 2. Unfortunately, this does mean that Shady has been eliminated from the tournament. We're still going to give Shady a big old round of applause for a great tournament runs this tourney. And with that beat, I think we are joined by azder. GG.
Hello.
GG.
How you feeling?
Man, I could have actually PB'd if I didn't have that Ganon death. I even got the 1-in-1 this time. I never get the 1-in-1 AD for some reason. Yeah, that was all I had to do is pretty much not take 4 fire bat hits.
Yep. Feel ya. Oh. At least you got another chance. Now
Yeah.
live to run another run, I guess. Oh,
Yeah.
and obviously, based on your presence in the chat, I think we can assume that you were following along with us.
I had the chat open, but
Okay.
I can't watch the stream. Well, I could watch it on my phone, I suppose, but it would distract me a lot.
That's very fair.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to get an idea of, I sometimes be in chat if I feel like it. This chat was kind of quiet, so I didn't get a very good idea of how the race was going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were
part of
just
that was
dazzled
because
Go ahead.
Shady messed up the bomb jump before Moldorm, and so you kind of took an early lead and never really changed.
Okay, that might have been why it was quiet. That isn't like a big shocker thing to happen. It's not like an AD specific thing. It's kind of more of a regular thing. So I guess it wasn't worthy of that much reaction. And then there not being lead changes based on that. That kind of makes sense.
I believe we are joined by Shady. GG Shady.
Hey, thanks very much. GG azder.
GG.
So Shady, were you watching along with us, or were you just trying to stay in the zone, do as best as you could?
I was keeping an eye on what's going on. I wasn't really following the whole time, but I was keeping an eye.
Absolutely. And what do you got to say? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it was. I had such a bad run. It was really bad. I'm really sloppy. But at the same time, 116 is not the worst time I've ever posted. So it is a sign of my improvement that my bad runs are getting better. But certainly, I was hoping for something a bit more competitive. I would have needed something better to have a realistic chance of winning this race. So I had a lot of trouble with my bomb jumps, like the Hera and the Skullwoods ones, and I think I was just thinking about them and worrying about them too much instead of just doing them on autopilot. And yeah, it's okay. But it looks like azder was on a fairly good run. Although his sum of best is way higher, even though our PBs are so close, his sum of best is way higher, I think. So he always had that higher ceiling where he could have outperformed me, and there wasn't really a chance I could have caught him.
Yeah, I think our PBs are close, but my PB isn't like as it's no longer as like relatively good for me. I would say my sum of best is 111.38.
So very nice on the best.
Yeah.
I'm fairly happy with it.
Val, anything else that you wanted to point out that I've forgotten so far?
I don't know. We had a couple of pretty scary boss fights. The helmet fight on azder's side, and
Holy
the
crap,
cold stare
Brad.
fight on Shady's side.
I don't know,
And
it's
then
funny
I
you
guess-
say that. I didn't really feel like I was in that much danger in the cold stare. I was still annoyed at myself for forgetting that I could have just used Samaria on the Switch when I pushed the block the wrong way. I was so annoyed at myself for that, and I always felt like I could take a hit in cold stare, and it got away, but I don't think I was ever really in danger. It probably looked scarier than it was. I've had scarier cold stare fights for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. But anytime you're on 2 hearts and all 3 of them are still alive, it's just like, well, you know, this could end very badly. So
I would have been really mad at myself if I did that too.
yeah,
I know I was like pissed that I missed the PB. It wasn't. But getting a PB for me isn't a very good run necessarily, but this was like a very acceptable race time for me. So I was mostly just mad I missed the PB. Otherwise, it was fine. Like I lost some time here and there, just trying to not. I didn't take the. What should I call it? I didn't take the glitches too risky. I tried my best not to mess those up. Health I took risky, but I'm used to doing Gauntlet on low health, so I didn't really think much of it.
Mhm.
So you're going to be going up against Hasnode in the next round. Any thoughts on that?
That's probably ripped me. He's going to pay me back for beating him in the DSM 80% tournament a couple of years ago. I knocked him out of bracket there. Yeah, we had similar PBs, I think, just before the tournament. Like he didn't get his good PB, or he didn't start to get good PBs in time to get like #1 seed in his group. But he's brought it down a lot more since then, and he's a much better player of the game in general than I am. So it's going to be a really uphill battle.
Though.
It is. It's probably not going to be as. It might be a harder match than Josh, because I think Josh is like more washed up, and Node is like really fresh now. So
We'll make sure that we pass that word along. I mean, he probably agrees. Let's be honest. And unfortunately, Shady, I think this does knock you out of the tournament after some really great runs. Any thoughts in retrospect on the tournament?
Yeah, I'm not too sad about it. As we said before, I think azder has a higher ceiling, so I think he can go further. I don't think I could have really gone further even if I managed to sneak a win here. I'm happy with how far I got, and I'm happy how much I lowered my time. I think I've accomplished my goals basically before the tournament, so I'm happy with how it's going, and and now I can take a break because it's a lot of work and practice with this and the other randomizer tournaments. So it is in a way, it's a bit of a relief to be watching now and from the sidelines instead of participating.
You definitely improved a lot. I was in this matchup. I was mostly thinking about the one of the community races where you sniped me.
Oh yeah, that was quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a pretty bad run for both of us.
Isn't that just how this category goes, though?
I'm so bad at racing this category. Like I feel like I play a lot worse than my potential compared to like racing other things. It's just hard for me to play well and steady in like terms of thinking if I lose the run, it has huge consequences. Versus PBs where you can just reset. I don't know how other people do it.
I get it. Very stressful situation. And with that, I think that's all for me. DAO runners, anyone have anything that they want to toss in there? Thoughts about what's next for you?
I guess on my end, just shout outs to ZSR for hosting this, letting us show it off. It's always fun.
No, I pretty much just passed it off to you, but I forgot that there's something else we should plug, because I can never shut up. Not a ZSR thing, but definitely an All Dungeons thing. Two of the runners who are in the tournament, Apathy Duck 07 Salute and Andy, will be running this tomorrow at around 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Corona Relief Done Quick. Both are very talented runners. Apathy is actually one of the admins for the tournament, and it's going to be a really great showcase for a really good cause. I highly recommend you guys stop in there, get some more All Dunnies action, and if you need more after that, there will be more on ZSR. You can use exclamation point AD Tourney, or you can DM me, or I'm not going to offer anyone else's DMs, but you feel free to DM me if you need information or you want to go out on a date. Again, my DMs are always open, but really, it's going to be a lot of fun. Not the date. The date's probably going to suck. I'm sorry, I'm boring.
Clearly.
Oh, vey. Someone please stop me from talking and take us out of this.
Happy to do so. Quick shout outs to both our runners, Azder and Shady Force, for putting on a good show for us. And I want to thank you guys, Dow and Anders, for commentating the race. As far as upcoming schedule, I don't think we have any restreams scheduled for upcoming Link to the Past tournament races, but hopefully that'll change in the near future. Tonight we have a Zelda 2 randomizer match between Rose City Saint and Nightcrawler at 10 Eastern. And right now on main ZSR, we've got the OTR NA Weekly, which is where I'm going to send you guys. So anybody have anything to add before I send everybody off to ZSR 1?
Thanks for watching, and make sure to follow our two runners in Dow, who is also a wonderful runner in this tournament. That's all I got.
Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and raid that weekly race of randomizer, Ocarina of Time randomizer, that is. I've been Bleeding Blue 11, and thank you all for stopping by today.